Hey guys, it's Jen from Noting Grace, where I inspire you to renew, create, and decorate your home without breaking the bank. Today, I am talking all about pumpkins. I am so excited to share this DIY with you. So if you know me by now, you know that I am about all things budget friendly, and free is my favorite word. I always hit the 80% off sales to buy all of those goodies, seasonal goodies that are marked way down. And every year I have a tendency to go and pick up some of these plastic pumpkins. I love to decorate with them, but as you can see, they don't look very real. They're very hard, very plastic. So last fall, I created a DIY knit cover for some throw pillows that I had, and I used some chunky knit yarn to create this beautiful look that was cozy, perfect for the fall season. I am by far not an expert knitter. I am definitely a novice. This whole pattern was super simple, but working with that chunky knit yarn was the easiest. And inspiration struck. When I was at the store the other day, I walked by a bin and it was their clearance section. I found a couple of skeins of this chunky knit yarn marked down. Loved it. In my basket. Hurrah! It comes time for me to pull out the fall decor, and I come across a craft that I had abandoned, maybe it was a couple of years ago. It was a painted pumpkin that the painted pumpkin didn't look right. So I decided to try to cover it with yarn, just regular thin yarn. It just didn't look right. So I just put it back in the fall bucket, decided I'm not gonna do that DIY. And it's been in my fall decor bucket for, I think, the last 2 or 3 seasons. So when I went to get out my decor and I found that pumpkin, I thought, oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I have an idea. So this is the test pumpkin. And as you can see, there are 2 different types of yarn. And this is the thin yarn that was the DIY fail. So I filled in all of the other spaces with this chunky knit yarn, and I loved how it looked. But what I didn't love was the top, because right now it just looks like a ball. It's a ball of yarn. It was just not my favorite. So I remembered those budget pumpkins that I got last year at the end of the year. So these are the supplies that you need to create your own chunky knit yarn covered pumpkin. Craft pumpkins, chunky knit yarn of your favorite color, a glue gun, and some scissors. Pretty easy, right? As you can see, each pumpkin has the spines on it. And what I did to start is I ran the hot glue gun down the spines and pressed the chunky knit yarn to the pumpkin. Now, I did not trim the tails. So I would cut the end and I left the tail dangling. And I'll get to that in a moment. Simply work your way around the pumpkin until all of the spines are covered. Then what you want to do is go back and fill in those spots that you missed. This is the finished result. Is that not just beautiful? I love the texture. It's soft, it's squishy, it doesn't sound plastic, and it matches my decor that I'm going to be using this year. here's the top. As you can see, I just glued around and made sure that the yarn was really nice and tight around the stem. You may have to touch up and re-glue some spaces just to make sure that you get that tightness. Now for the bottom, it's not perfect, but what I did is after I was done, I started to just piece in and hot glue so that way you've got a nice flat surface, and you will have to trim as you need, but it was a great solution, super simple. And now it sits flat. You can see that it is a nicer size pumpkin than the original. Now here is another one that I chose using a twisted yarn. And I have to say this one was a little bit more difficult. Not difficult, I think maybe more time consuming. Once I started cutting the yarn, I noticed that the twisting would come untwisted. Twisting would come untwisted. Yeah, shake it up, baby, now. Twist it, shout. Anyway. Total goofball. I found myself gluing and re-gluing and going back and tucking and re-gluing again and again just to kind of keep everything nice and neat. And it looks pretty good from here until you turn it upside down. It kind of looks like a kindergartner's haircut that they did themselves. Nothing against if that's your style. I don't know. Anyway, I loved the texture of this though. The ribs seem to stand out a little bit more. There's a lot more definition in this, and it's again nice and soft. A great addition to the decor if this would be something that you would want to do, but just be sure to know that the twisted yarn is going to be a little bit trickier to work with. One thing that I found that sped up the process was cutting the strips of yarn in bulk. So as I started, I would work just off of the skein one piece at a time. And I started to notice that, well, they were all pretty much the same size. So once I would cut maybe about 5 or 6 pieces ahead of time, it did make the process go a lot quicker. It's a really simple DIY, one that I'm very pleased with, and I am super excited to show it in my home. Stay tuned for a fall home decor tour coming soon, and I will show you how I'm displaying these pumpkins in my living room. I will make sure to put the tutorial to the Chunky Knit pillow in the description below if you want to go check that out, as well as I will link the blog post. Feel free to head over to Note and Grace to check that out. I hope you liked this tutorial and that it is a DIY to try. I'm so thankful that you're a part of this journey. I love that you are watching my videos, and I'm so honored that you have come by. I hope that you subscribe so that way you won't miss the next video that I have to share with you. Chunky Knit Yarn Pumpkin. Gonna get my pumpkin home. So this pumpkin is the same as this pumpkin. You can see it is much thicker, much. So who wants these plastic pumpkins? I don't. Hey, hey, pumpkin. I think I might have broke something. Did I break the pumpkin? Bigger? I might have broke the pumpkin. Chunky Knit Yarn Pumpkin? I think fall's my favorite.